What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Basketball with Tom, and there's no way I could leave this stone unturned. Man, this trade deadline has been crazy. Let's talk about it. Look, man, the Cavs, they completely nuked their roster. Complete overhaul, complete change, and I gotta say, I'm happy for them. And they're now once again the favorites in the East. And it sucks because I thought that the Cavs would continue to be dysfunctional for the rest of the season and, maybe give another team a chance to, get to the finals, you know what I'm saying? But it's all good. Recognize LeBron's greatness, and when LeBron has a team and players to work with, definitely they're the favorites anytime, versus another competition. Okay, right now Cavs are facing the Atlanta Hawks, and they're up 104-87. This is 8 minutes and 59 seconds left in the game. I mean, it's against the Atlanta Hawks, so you can take this with a grain of salt. But already they seem to look better. Already, they don't even have their traded pieces yet. They haven't gotten their traded pieces playing for them yet, and already they look better. So you can see a lot of those other players, that the Cavs had up to this point were basically cancerous, and it's just like they need to get rid of them. It's basically right now is legitimately addition by subtraction for now. We'll get the additions later, and hopefully they play well. And I must say, I thought that the Cavs were not going to do anything come the trade deadline. I really thought they were going to stand pat. They're just going to let the season end as it is, and however far they've got, that's how they got, and then LeBron's going to leave. But I gotta give the Cavs general management credit. Kobe Altman, Dan Gilbert, and I'm sure it's not just them. I'm sure LeBron helped them helped them, craft some of these moves, and gave them suggestions and everything. But man, I gotta give them credit. They pulled the trigger. They got rid of the bad pieces in the locker room, and they brought back good, solid, young athletic pieces. Some being defensively minded. And just players that I'm trying to remember who said it, but one of the sports analysts said today, basically they're devoid of egos. These guys are just coming to play and just do their thing, and then that's it. They're not coming to take over the team. They're not coming to try to prove a point. They're just there to play and contribute. Alright, so the first trade involved Isaiah Thomas, Channing Frye, and the Cavs' own 2018 first-round pick being traded to the Lakers for Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr. And I gotta tell you, it kind of sucks that Isaiah Thomas has gotten such a bad rap, because I really think at the end of the day, he's a great guy. He obviously, put his heart and soul out there, last year when he was playing for Boston, especially with the death of his sister. He really played his heart out, and he's a hard worker. You see, he talks about hashtag that slow grind. I'm sure he worked so hard to try to get himself back into shape, get himself back to the player he once was. But he became a malcontent in the Cavs locker room, where he's trying too much. First of all, he's trying too much on the court to be that guy he was last year, when clearly the injury was still hampering him from being that way. And at the same time, he started to really carry around an ego, as if he's the alpha dog on the team, when clearly that team is LeBron's team. He started to talk as if he's the leader on the team. He started to assume that things really, should run through him. He questioned the offense. He questioned the practice. He questioned so much about the Cavs, team and leadership and stuff like that when he just got there. And again, it sucks that he's gotten such a bad rap over the last month, but the truth is he just was not producing. And because of that, and the thing is he just was not finding his role, alongside LeBron, whereby he could be able to just play his part and contribute to wins. At this point, he was no longer contributing to wins. He was trying so hard to be the guy he once was, instead of trying to fit in the role that is set for him in the team. And again, perhaps the thing with playing with the Cavs and playing with LeBron is that it does take time for you to find your role and find where you fit. And when your role is not defined, especially when you're a new player playing alongside LeBron, it is a hard adjustment. You know, even star players. Obviously, we saw how, you know, in the Miami Heat days, when Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh were playing next to LeBron. At one point, both of them had to take, you know, smaller roles, even though Wade still had his larger role, but they had to take, you know, different roles in order to play alongside LeBron, who is clearly the best player on that team. And they had to, you know, find their place, you know, alongside LeBron so that they could be able to contribute effectively to the team and allow LeBron to run, you know, the offense, you know, effectively. And of course, it kind of sucks that the Cavs had to give away Channing Frye as well. He was a great locker room presence, and although he didn't always play that much, obviously his defense is a liability. His three-point shooting, of course, as a big guy, you know, he helps to stretch the floor whenever he's out there. But, you know, his defense, his very poor defense, you know, contributes to him not being able to play on the court that often. But he was a great locker room presence, you know, a veteran, a guy that's like a solid presence, you know, in that locker room. Unfortunately, he had to go as well, and it's good that Cavs didn't have to give away the Brooklyn thing. They gave away their own to the Lakers. And I guess on the part of the Lakers, you know, the Lakers were trying to get rid of Jordan Clarkson's big salary. I mean, it wasn't too big, but it was enough so that they can be able to start to create cap space for them, so that they can start to be able to sign potential superstars in the offseason, be it this year or next year. So basically, to make sure they have enough cap space. But in terms of how Clarkson and Nance fit in with the Cavs, they're young, they're athletic, they definitely help make the team younger, they definitely help the team's pace so that they can be able to run, they're able to run with pace effectively. Because although the Cavs' pace did start to speed up over the last month or so, you know, obviously the older guys and their finishing and the transition was just not as effective. This time, you have players like Clarkson who can get his own shot off, who can run and sprint down the court. You got Nance, who's a cutter, who's a dunker, a finisher, someone who will play hard, gritty defense and do whatever you need him to do, all the little things, set the picks, deflect shots or deflect passes, stuff like that. He'll do all those little things, and definitely the Cavs needed that type of energy guy, you know, especially while Tristan Thompson is coming back into his own. I think he's still probably dealing with the after effects of the injury, and of course he just needs to get his mojo back. But until then, you have someone like Nance who can be able to step into that role off the bench, or even if they choose to start him, you know, be able to provide the Cavs that type of energy. The second trade involves the Jazz and the Kings, along with the Cavs, where the Cavs received Rodney Hood and George Hill, the Jazz received Jay Crowder, Derrick Rose, and the Kings received Joe Johnson, Iman Shumpert, and a 2020 second round pick. I don't know whose pick that is specifically, but I have to go back and check that. I'll put it up on the screen, you know what I'm saying? Again, for the Cavs, great pickups. Rodney Hood, although he's been inconsistent in Utah, obviously I think with the absence of Hayward, it's put a lot more pressure on people like him and Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, to be able to try to get their shots off so basically the defense, I think they crowd him and those other players, you know, such that they're not able to get off clean looks. Obviously when you're playing next to LeBron, you know, LeBron's gravity is going to be able to help people like Hood, and of course with Clarkson, you know, be able to get off cleaner shots and be able to, you know, create better shots for themselves. As for George Hill, solid veteran, obviously has had his battles with LeBron from the time he was in Indiana and LeBron was in Miami back between 2012 and 2014. Again, as a veteran, great three-point shooter, great defender. Basically, he can distribute the ball. And again, the beautiful thing is he's not a ball-dominant guard. Isaiah Thomas is a ball-dominant guard. And with Isaiah Thomas, again, if he was playing well, if he was playing like he was playing in Boston, it would not have been as problematic as the type of player he is now, because as the player he was, and because now he's traded, as the player he was when he was playing with the Cavs, he was not effectively dominating the ball. He was taking poor shots. He didn't have his legs especially when shooting threes. And obviously LeBron needs to have the ball in order for him to be effective and for him to be able to spread the wealth and help the team get better. And with Isaiah Thomas, if he's not playing good. He's definitely not playing like Kyrie in the role that Kyrie had when Kyrie was in the Cavs last year. So definitely having someone like George Hill, who's not a ball-dominant guard, but that can distribute the ball and, you know, have some control and be a spot-up three-point shooter is definitely great for the Cavs. To the Jazz, well, Jay Crowder, listen, I don't know what the hell happened to this man. This man became a complete travesty. You know, his shot was just not there. His defense, you know, vanished. And those are the two things that they needed from him. If he's not bringing those things to the table, what good is he? And apparently he's also part of the malcontent with the locker room. You saw how he treated Kevin Love, one of those plays. I'm trying to remember which team he played against. Yeah, it was versus the Spurs. You know, Jay Crowder essentially stepped over Kevin Love when Kevin Love fell trying to make a shot. It's ridiculous how, and DeJounte Murray from the Spurs had to pick him up. Ridiculous. You know, the chemistry was clearly not there. Derrick Rose, man, I feel bad for Derrick Rose, man. He's trying. I think he's really trying. He really tried to fit into the Cavs system, but again, ball-dominant guard. He's not able to really, you know, be very effective, you know, without the ball. But he's not very efficient with the ball either. Even though he's able to go downhill, he doesn't have the same type of explosiveness as he did, you know, when he was in the Bulls. You know, so it's sad. Varsity player, or even the Knicks, because even as a member of the Knicks, he was still had some explosiveness. You know, I think with the injury that he had last year and trying to recover from it, I think he probably was still kind of hobbled and still not able to really, you know, again find his place effectively within the Cavs system. Therefore, you know, he's traded as well. You know, I was reading that they're planning to, I think, buy out Derrick Rose, and that Rose would probably join the Wolves. You know, obviously link back up with Jimmy Butler, you know, Coach Tom Thibodeau and Taj Gibson. So the Timber Bulls, as they call it. But obviously, you know, if Derrick Rose was to go to the Wolves, should not expect too much from him. I'm sure he'll just play, you know, in limited minutes in a smaller role, because at the end of the day, he's not the same as he used to, and obviously the other players on the Wolves have to shine. Okay, as for the Kings, we got Joe Johnson, Iman Shumpert, the 2020 second round pick. Well, Joe Johnson, I guess the thing is he just has not been the same. I guess he's getting older, but I haven't really watched too many Utah games. I haven't really watched Joe Johnson play that much. I think he was injured most of the season, and he just started to get back. But again, you know, with Joe Johnson, he's a veteran. I'm sure that, you know, when he goes to the Kings, I think again they may be planning to buy him out. And then I heard something, or I watched something where they talk about Joe Johnson may get a buyout and may join the Warriors. I'm not too sure about that. I'll put whatever description or whatever, you know, I find about that. I'll put it up here, you know, and let you guys see it. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, until further notice, he's on the Kings, and I don't know if he's really gonna get bought out. Iman Shumpert, again, he wasn't doing anything with the Cavs. Again, to his credit, he was injured, so there's not much more he can do. But even playing with the Cavs, he was not bringing much to the team. He wasn't doing anything that was really, you know, benefiting the Cavs system. The thing about Iman Shumpert, the way I even view him, is almost like a poor man's J.R. Smith. A very poor man's J.R. Smith, in that he can play defense, but sometimes his defense is suspect, and his shot is inconsistent. The J.R. is a streaky shooter, and we know he has a good shot, but Iman Shumpert, he just has not been able to, you know, get that shot back, especially when he was playing on the Knicks. You know, he was pure, especially when I'm using him on 2K14. I was just like, man, I can make this man shoot threes like a madman, but, you know, today, he just does not have that shot. It's unfortunate, but yes. And the third trade, Dwyane Wade got traded back to the Heat. In exchange, the Heat got Dwyane Wade, and the Cavs in exchange got a lightly protected future second round pick. I think that was 2024. Now, someone may argue, like, okay, well, that was kind of a moot point. And at the same time, Dwyane Wade brought, you know, some contribution to the team, and this is one of the trades I didn't truly agree with, because I thought Dwyane Wade could still provide benefit to the Cavs, but again, I read and I listen about how Dwyane Wade, in fact, he wanted the trade, or in fact, the Cavs, general management brought the idea of the trade to Wade and say, okay, hey, we're going to bring in these players, your role's going to be reduced, so you can either take that reduced role, or we'll give you a chance to go to the Heat, and reestablish your career there. Well, not reestablish, but like revitalize your career there, or if anything, maybe even end it, Other people talk about or mention, should Dwyane Wade retire? I wouldn't say so. He still can give you something, and he's a veteran. He knows how to play within various systems. He's a champion. He's a champion, and because he has a champion mentality, he's able to. He can essentially, play anywhere. He can bring that kind of, mentality to a team, and with that, again, that veteran, solid presence, be able to lead you and guide you how to win. Some of the sports analysts out there were talking about how Dwyane Wade, he wasn't a cancer to the team, because Dwyane Wade cancer, that doesn't make sense. But just because of who he is, it brought almost a level of, I don't know how to really describe it, but it just brought a certain level of like isolation, where Dwyane Wade kind of like has isolation with specific players, be it with LeBron, in the Cavs, be it with Jimmy Butler when he was in the Bulls or with the Bulls, and even as a member of the Heat, obviously he was great for them when they were going in the second, when they were facing the Raptors in the second round in 2016, Eastern Conference semi-finals. But at the same time, it's like his style of play sometimes does not lend to the overall benefit of the team. Sometimes, again, I'm not saying all the time, but with the way that he plays, again, ISO type of guard, although he's more of a willing passer than, let's say, a Kobe or even a Jordan, because of the type of player he is, sometimes if he's not getting his shot off, if he's not efficient, sometimes it's not good for the team. We actually saw this when he was starting for the Cavs, at the beginning of this season, where even though as a starting guard you think he'd still be able to give you something, he was very inefficient. He wasn't able to really find his spots to shoot, and as a result he was not effective. He had to go to the bench, and he requested to go to the bench, and from the bench, he was able to dominate as a point guard. So again, he is a willing passer. He's able to do what he was able to do with the bench, but at the same time, when his shot's not there, and he's not, and especially because he does not shoot threes very well, doesn't space the floor, kind of crowds everything, so he's not able to always get the cleanest of shots off, and because he's older, he's going to be less efficient. But I'm really glad that they traded him to the Heat. And I think honestly the Heat could use him in spots and in moments where obviously he's familiar with all the players there, so of course that familiarity will help him to contribute to the team where necessary in that regard. But at the same time, you gotta be careful how you play him, because although again, Dwyane Wade's one of my favorite players. I'm not suggesting that he's horrible or that he's bad or that he's even like subpar or anything like that. But he's not the same as he used to be. And as a result, his effectiveness may not be as great as, we may expect from him. He's older. He doesn't space the floor very frequently. Yes, he's shown a greater ability to shoot threes the last, couple years or so, but it's still inconsistent. And when that shot's not getting off, especially, his legs are not the same, legs are heavier, he's older, not able to get as much elevation as before, there's only so much he can do. So again, in minutes and in spot places, he could be effective for the team. Again, bring that kind of veteran presence and, be able to help guide Miami back on a winning path, but at the same time, can't expect too much from him. Okay, so let's circle around back to the Cavs and let's talk about them, because there's an interesting lesson in this. The real question is, when do you press the reset button? When is it that you not only just realize what you're doing isn't working, but when is it that you make a change, or how is it that you make the change to get better? And the Cavs experimented for over a month with Isaiah Thomas to see, okay, can he work productive? And we found out very soon the answer is no. He could not play with LeBron James, be it because of his ego, be it because he was not able to find his role. And not only that, he created problems in the locker room, such that, you know, the locker room became a toxic environment. Players were isolated or forming cliques, and blame was being cast all over the place. Fingers were being pointed. And so we ask ourselves the question, when is enough enough? When do you stop with what you're doing and go to something new? And the Cavs decided, thankfully, this ain't working. Let's switch it up. Let's shake things up. Let's make things different. And now here they are. I think it's fair to say, in fact, not even fair, I think it's good to say, really, that the Cavs are now once again the favorites. Again, provided everyone plays well and plays within their roles, the Cavs are the favorites to come out the East. Does this make them finals favorites? Not really. I mean, I personally expect them to give the Warriors, if the Warriors indeed do come out the West, I do expect the Cavs to give them a 6-game series. Again, if everyone plays well, Cavs get back to their defensive principles, and again are able to play, you know, offense, and everyone just fits into their roles, you know, very well. The Cavs should be able to give the Warriors a bit of run for their money, although the Warriors are still a much better team, and, you know, will win, most likely win the finals. But then again, the Warriors have had their struggles, and Houston is still very much a live threat to them. Not only just Houston, watch out for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They now beat the Warriors twice, and those are two convincing wins. As long as Westbrook is leading the charge, and again, everyone falls into place, the Oklahoma City Thunder are a threat to the Warriors, so let's not sleep on them either. I think if the Cavs face Houston or Golden State in the finals, Houston or Oklahoma City in the finals, the Cavs are the favorites. Actually, that's it. But they're more favored to win versus Houston and Oklahoma City than they would to be winning versus Golden State. So I really hope now LeBron is able to reinvigorate himself, and that the whole Cavs team can fall into place. The locker room can be a healthy environment. Everyone can find their roles, and that the Cavs should be able to get through the East, you know, to be able to get to the finals. Of course, it makes me sad as a Raptors fan, because I'm just like, I'm low-key, because of course I like LeBron, I want him to win, but I'm just like low-key thinking to myself, oh, the Raptors, they have a chance. The Celtics, they're good, but you know, they have their problems too. If we can just, you know, get in the door there and, you know, get through the Celtics, we can get to the finals. But I'm just like, Cavs are back. Yay for LeBron, but boo for the rest of the East. Darn it. But yeah, speaking of the Raptors, we'll get into some of the other trades. Raptors traded away Bruno. Man, poor Bruno. This man could not, you know, find his place in the NBA, but they traded Bruno for Malachi Richardson from the Kings. I think it'll be a good addition, especially if Malachi Richardson can find himself developing, you know, in the Raptors 905, Raptors 905, the G League team under Jerry Stackhouse, the coach. And my dad never fails to let me know about how good Jerry Stackhouse is as a coach. So I hope that, you know, under that system, he'll be able to develop and he can provide something to the Raptors, you know, later on in the season, or at least, if not this year, next year, he can develop as a great prospect. I want to look at the Pistons Bulls trade. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the Pistons and Bulls trade. Bulls traded away. The Pistons receive Jameer Nelson and a future second-round pick. Bulls receive Willie Weed and a future second-round pick. And you know, actually, to pair this, you know, with another Pistons trade, Pistons They acquired James Ennis and they traded away Bryce Johnson to the Grizzlies and also a future second-round pick. It's interesting because Bryce Johnson and Willie Reed, those are the two players that came in from the Blake Griffin trade. They were able to get rid of those players and acquire, some other more decent players to reload their roster. James Ennis's been solid in Memphis, but I mean, he's no world beater by any means, but he's a solid, good player, so he's able to bring something to the Pistons as a team. Jameer Nelson, veteran guard, he's played on many teams. He had some good production in New Orleans. Obviously, you know him from his days in the Magic when he was playing with Dwight Howard. Definitely, he's not the same as he used to be, but he can still stroke a three. He can still, protect the ball. I think the sports analysts, they use a certain type of term. I don't remember what it's like. Basically, like a ball protector. They're not going to just turn the ball over. They're just a nice, solid guy that's going to produce and, fit in where necessary and help the team and build the team up. As for the Grizzlies side, not exactly sure what they're doing right now. I mean, man. Actually, before we talk about the Grizzlies, let me go back to the Pistons, because I think now, with the Pistons acquiring some of these solid players, they're really putting themselves in position. Let's not sleep on Detroit. Well, even this year, they'll definitely be in the hunt for the playoffs, but definitely next year, if some of these players stay on the team, they're definitely going to put themselves in great position to be able to compete, in the East for years to come, as long as Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond are still on that team. So yeah, the Grizzlies, not entirely sure what they're doing, but they're getting, second round picks, so maybe they can find some diamonds in the rough. Bulls, again, not exactly sure what they're doing, because of course they picked up Omer Asik, last week or the week before. They traded away Mirotic. I guess Mirotic was not part of their plans going forward, but at the same time, it's not exactly sure what they're doing. Bulls, we see that they acquired Noah Vonleh and Cash as well, and they traded away to the Blazers the rights to Milovan Rakovic. I hope I'm saying that correct. I'm sure it's a Vitch. I said Vitch with a V, okay? Blazers got under the luxury tax, so I guess that's good for them because they're in salary cap hell with all the contracts they signed. But obviously, giving away Alvin Crabbe was part of it, I think last year. And then, of course, with the Evan Turner contract, that's definitely something that's sticking on their books for a while now. Again, Noah Vonleh, he's all right, but again, I don't know what exactly the Bulls are doing. I guess the Bulls are tanking. I guess they're just gonna pick up players, whatever, and then hope to get good stock, in the future. Okay, one of the other major trades I want to talk about here is the Knicks, Nuggets, and Mavericks trade. You see, Emmanuel Mudiay was acquired. Denver Nuggets traded away Emmanuel Mudiay to the Knicks. The Nuggets received Devin Harris from the Mavericks, as well as a 2018 second-round pick via the Knicks. The Mavericks received Doug McDermott from the Knicks, and the Nuggets second-round pick as well. It's interesting because, when Emmanuel Mudiay was first, discovered by the league, everyone was saying he was a really good player, but he really struggled that first year in Denver. Now, he's really just trying to find his role. Hopefully, he can find something within the Knicks. Maybe it's just a matter of the system. And of course, players like Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, they're much better players than Emmanuel Mudiay. But I'm sure he can still find something. I think he just needs to work on his shot and just make sure he can protect the ball better. Again, the Nuggets, perfect pickup for them. Devin Harris, just a solid ball protecting guard that's not going to turn the ball over, not going to make a bunch of mistakes. He's just going to be there as a solid presence for them, especially as a veteran. Of course, getting the 2018 second round pick, I'm sure they can find, again, some diamonds in the rough in the draft. For the Mavericks, Doug McDermott, again, I don't know what's really going to do for the Mavericks. Again, Doug McDermott's a good player, but again, I'm not entirely sure what the Mavericks are doing, because it's they're kind of just muddying around in the bottom of the West, because they're just not good enough to compete for the playoffs. But at the same time, as the players on the Nuggets, they're not completely trash. You know, they're good players there. Obviously, I guess Yogi Ferrell kind of had his shine last year, but you know, he kind of just disappeared. He has not been the same. Obviously, Wes Matthews, he doesn't like to call Wesley Matthews. He kind of, after coming back from the Achilles injury, maybe he's not the same, but he's still a solid player. Dirk, he's obviously a dinosaur at this point, but again, he's still doing a little thing here and there, but low-key probably should retire soon. Again, love Dirk. I hate Dirk, but it is what it is. He's getting old. Not even getting old, he is old. Yeah, they have players. I mean, Seth Curry, when he's healthy. JJ Barea, he's always solid. He always bring that dog, you know. He's not afraid of anyone. But again, I don't exactly know what the Mavericks are doing, but hopefully they can start to set themselves up, you know, to be competitive later down the road, maybe, you know, 3 to 5 years from now. You see, Elfrid Payton was traded to the Suns from the Magic. Magic received the 2018 second round pick. Again, it kind of just shows the value of Elfrid Payton. He's not that valuable, and it's kind of sad because it's like he's not producing poorly, and he has gotten better this year. But again, you know, someone has to explain to me what the hell is going on in Orlando. Someone got to tell me what's going on there. Is there something in the water? They're too busy in Disney World. I don't know what it is. The Magic they're just not a good organization. They keep doing these kind of just really suspect moves, and they're not getting anywhere. It's interesting because at the beginning of this season, we saw some, you know, for lack of a better term, we saw some magic from the Magic. You know what I'm saying? Like, they literally were playing well. Like, they're playing out of their minds. Aaron Gordon was coming into his own. We started to consider, are the Magic for real this time? But they slid right back into their place in the East, right toward the bottom. Something's up with that team. I'm not going to blame the coach. Frank Vogel's a great coach. We obviously seen what he did in Indiana, but there's something about that team that they're just not performing up to snuff. I know Coach Nick was talking about how, you know, I think they have one of the worst offenses in the league, but their potential, based on the numbers and the metrics, their potential to be great offensively is definitely there. I think they're like top 5 or top 10 in potential assists, meaning that it's almost like they're right there. They're like a few plays away from being great. Well, I would say maybe not great, but they're few plays away from being good. But it just never gets past that. They just end up kind of just sinking and muddying back into the bottom, you know. So they're never able to really get past that hump. Maybe it's the players they have, the collection of players they have, and again, that goes back to the Orlando Magic's general management. Who knows what they're really doing there? You know what I'm saying? All right, so I guess let's talk about the winners and losers of the trade from the trade deadline. Definitely the Cavs, shaking up their roster, getting younger, more athletic, more defensively minded, shaking up the culture, and putting them back in position to be the favorites coming out the East. The Nuggets acquiring Devin Harris, I think that's a great pickup for them. That be able to fit in right along with their system to be able to propel them, you know, and continue to keep them in the playoff race. Definitely I'll say the Raptors, although Raptors, we, you know, love Bruno, but he just did not develop into the player we thought he would be. Getting Malachi Richardson, hopefully, you know, from what we've seen from him in the Suns, the Kings, he could be able to develop into, you know, a really good prospect. I'm gonna say the Heat definitely. They actually traded away Okara White to the Hawks for Luke Babbitt. Now, of course, Babbitt's not the reason why the Heat won the trade. They won it obviously because they got Dwyane Wade back. It's good for the organization. You know, Pat Riley and Dwyane Wade were able to put aside their differences, and well, I think they resolved that a while back. Now it's just seeing the fruits of that come to fruition with Dwyane Wade returning to the Heat. If you look at, so I make sure here, Lakers, I think, definitely are winners because, you know, they're able to get rid of Jordan Clarkson's salary, so they're able to free up cap space. Of course, you know, they'll likely let Isaiah Thomas walk, you know, at the end of the season. And obviously, the 2018 first round pick from the Cavs may not be, it's obviously not going to be a high pick, but definitely, you know, if Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka are looking through the draft and looking to see, you know, what kind of players they can pick up, you know, if they look for, again, as I like to say, diamonds in the rough, they could be able to pick up a good player in the draft. Hopefully, might be able to add to the Lakers organization, and of course, like I said, they put themselves in position to be able to sign potential superstars for the max contracts. We're talking about losers. Right now, a lot of the losers are remaining to be seen. I don't want to say Jazz are necessarily losers because I'm sure there's a reason why they were willing to expand Rodney Hood. Even though he's a solid player, I think, again, his inconsistency probably was not palatable for them. And they decided, okay, let's move on from him and let's see what we can do with the team we have. If Jay Crowder can resurrect his career in Utah, especially being among other defensively minded people, maybe that could be something for them. We'll see what happens. Derrick Rose, I'm not sure what he's necessarily going to do. Again, if the reports about him, you know, getting waived and then going to the Timberwolves is true. But for now, I can say because the Jazz did get rid of a good player in Rodney Hood, I'm going to call them losers for now. Let's see how Jay Crowder works out for them. The Kings, again, you pick up Bruno, and I'm not hating on Bruno, but he's really not good. And Iman Shumpert has not panned out well for the Cavs whatsoever. Again, sometimes when you have a change of scenery, you can have a boost in your career again, but again, I'm not too sure what's going on. They got 2020 second round pick. Has the Suns really been, they picked up good potential players in the draft, so I can't say they actually are horrible in the draft, but at the same time, it's like, sometimes they can be hit and miss. Sometimes, you know, again, you're just kind of piling up young players. What is it going to come out? What's going to come out of it? You know what I'm saying? Joe Johnson, is he going to stay on the Kings? I don't know. Again, I always going to have to call the Magic losers because, again, no one knows what the hell they're doing. They just keep making plays or making all these kind of different trades, moves and stuff like that I don't really know what's going on. I'm going to call the Knicks losers just because I'm not sure what Emmanuel Mudiay is going to pan out to be. I'm sure he can still get something, but again, he's not been playing that great. I'm going to call the Grizzlies definitely, I'm going to call them losers because, again, I don't know what they're doing. They got Bryce Johnson, maybe they're tanking, maybe to get, but again, I don't know their picks. I don't know what they're planning to do, Oh, going back to winners, Pistons are definitely winners. Picking up James Ennis and picking up Jameer Nelson, they definitely putting themselves in position to be contending, as an Eastern Conference playoff team. And the Suns, I guess it's a win because they got another guard in Elfrid Payton. He's not a bad, player. He can probably fit in somewhere with the team. Hopefully, maybe he could be part of the Suns' future. So we'll see what happens. Alright, so that's it. I just had to come at you with my opinions about the trades, inform you guys about the trades if you're not entirely sure what's going on, or, provide my perspective on it. Again, if I was to recap, I think definitely the Cavs, Heat, and Pistons have put themselves in position to have a winning atmosphere. I think the trades that they made are definitely really great for them. Again, the Lakers setting themselves up, to be able to sign potential superstars in free agency. I think that's great as well. As for the other teams, they got what they needed to get, I suppose. They got what they figured they needed for the time. I think at this point, time will tell what exactly these moves will do for them. We'll have to see toward the end of the season, or maybe even to next season, to see the impact of these trades. But yeah, as for that, another episode of Basketball with Tom in the books. Had to come at you guys with this. It's a shorter episode, but definitely give you my opinions. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. Again, thank you so much for continuing to support me. You know, like, comment, subscribe, and share. You know, let people know about the basketball stuff I'm doing on this channel. And of course, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 4, where we delve into some deeper topics, you know, talk about mental health and mental illness, as well as the expectation versus reality dichotomy about, you know, setting goals for ourselves and stuff like that. You know, things that we all kind of struggle with, you know, we all kind of working towards trying to better ourselves. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I don't really have a conclusion. You know, I don't really have a, you know what, let me just make sure. I was about to say a word that I don't even think is a word. Yeah, no, conclusory. I was about to say conclusory, but it's conclusory. I don't have a conclusory statement for this video. So I'm just gonna say, you know what, take care guys. Till next time, thanks for watching.